Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Weasley. So, over the course of the week, we've heard a lot of disturbing news. We saw a lot of disturbing images, and it's very disturbing to think that this could happen to you, me, someone you love, someone you know. If you don't know what I'm talking about the senseless killings this week. And I'm not just talking about Anton and Philando, because I'm pretty sure that most of you are aware of what's happened. I'm talking about the riots and senseless killings because of these two individuals, and also the senseless killings that are happening that the media is not focused on right now because it is not bringing them enough attention. So, it's hard enough to just live nowadays. Now, from back in the day, and I'm not talking about when we're in middle school and elementary school, I'm talking further. Back to when we were still swimming and our parents were kids and their parents were kids. Right now, there wasn't a lot of opportunities like they are now as far as minorities. And how far we've come is amazing. But people still have the mindset of living as if nothing changed. For instance, racism. Sadly, racism will not die. Why? Because you have people that are ignorant and they pass this ignorance on to generations. Now, we're not born ignorant. Obviously, we have to learn it from someone or somewhere. Now, it's hard to live as a minority because in most people's eyes, we are ignorant, we are uneducated, we just have babies so that the government could have us covered. Everybody is paying for our decisions. And that's not the case. There are plenty of minorities that are successful, and while everyone's kissing their ass now, has not known their whole story. And people are scared to say their story is because of being judged. But why is that? You see, it's scary to think that today could be your last day. And I'm not talking about, like life, regular shit like a heart attack. I'm talking about you could be dead in the hands of someone who's not thinking straight, someone who's having a bad day, someone who just wants to pass time. And time is valuable. See, people seem to forget that we all bleed the same, and at the end of life, we all end in the ground. People want to pay attention to you when you're sick, when you reach a goal that could benefit them, and they want to help you when it's beneficial, which is sad, but it happens. Now, it's a shame that people have to kill someone to make themselves feel superior. And what's more disturbing is all this money that is being spent on all this equipment. The results are always the same. How? The person is caught on video killing someone. This is what goes on in the media, which is sick. Someone is getting caught killing someone on video or confession, and then they do an investigation. But to us not being, in college and graduated and have these types of jobs, we're supposed to rely on people like these to bring justice. So this person that killed someone or people, and depending on if it's cop related or terrorist related or just ignorance, the media puts the story out of what happened. But here's what gets disturbing. Instead of trying to bring proper justice on the person that has been murdered, they dig into their history of criminal activity to make it seem like, hey, the officer then killed someone who was a threat to society. But weren't we taught that everyone can learn from their mistakes? For instance, Anton Sterling. We all seen the video of him being tackled to the ground, someone claiming he had a gun, both his arms being pinned down, and then being shot multiple times in the chest and back. Then on top of that, we see his criminal history. History. What the fuck does that have to do with what the fuck we just saw? Someone got murdered, but we're going to focus on his criminal history to justify the events that we just saw. Now, in regards to Philando, we all witnessed the video that has been put all over social media of him in the car with his girlfriend and her daughter and being shot in the arm after he told the officer that he had a license to carry and get his registration, which was in his pockets. But he was shot anyway for complying with directions. Now, the sick part is we're going to hear about all of these individuals' criminal activities before we hear what needs to happen and for them to take responsibilities for the actions that they have caused. Because of their actions, there are family members that will never see their loved ones again, only in spirit. The part that gets me in events like these, and I'm not just talking about these two individuals, God rest their soul, is that, again, we hear about their criminal activity and they fear for their life, the officers, and there's this ongoing investigation. And then if they're brought charges upon them, they're given bullshit sentences. But if it was regular folk that have done the same thing, they would have got 1,000 times worse. But because they're officers, they get a petty ass sentence, or they go on administrative leave, or in some cases, which is rare, they get fired and they might do a decent amount of jail time, but then they get out on good behavior or what have you. See, it's always unsettling when we have to hear about events like this and justice is not served. And as an African American woman, it's unsettling to know that this could happen to one of my family members, my father, my uncle, my cousins, my brother. And I don't have sons. I have daughters. And to know that there are still racist people out there teaching this bullshit to their children, and my children might see this racist shit one day. It breaks my heart, because why do we have to live this way? And I applaud that there are individuals out there, like celebrities and people in the community, that are doing protests to these senseless crimes. But what gets me is people think that killing any old officer is going to solve anything. No, it's not. We were kids, we were taught right from wrong. We were taught when there was an action and reaction. But so far as we're seeing on the media, we see actions that are getting little reactions. And we always hear how everyone's fearful for their life, but they live. And okay, they get these sentences and whatever. You know, you have to live with the fact that you have taken away somebody from somebody's family. And if it was the other way around, they would have got charged and anything without a question. But the simple fact is you do this, and you know, we have these investigations that last forever and shit, because we all know the longer it takes, the longer, you know, the more possibility that you get off, is disturbing to people like me. It's hard to just be a woman. And don't get me wrong, there are women that are also getting killed by officers. But we don't so much hear about that because it doesn't really create a story. I believe the last time that the issue was brought upon us when it had to deal with Sandra Bland. So if the media sees something that doesn't create a story, it's ignored. And this is not only for African American women and men. This also has to do with the Hispanic community. Any other communities can get affected. And the thing is, it happens in every race. And because it's not one race against another race, it doesn't make the story, which I don't get. But I see why, and it's still not acceptable. We are still killing each other over senseless bullshit. And why are we doing that? You know, if we keep killing each other over senseless bullshit, we're soon going to be extinct. People need to think before they act. And over the course of the months, we haven't heard anything as different as we hear from when in our history books. It's repeating itself. And if you listen to the lyrics of some of these songs coming out, you will understand the frustration behind the lyrics. And to think that minorities are just ratchet, uneducated people is ignorant on your part. We are unique individuals. And to have to sit there and think that the next time that we turn the key to our home and leave or be in our car, it could be the last time we're seen alive, because we have senseless people like these officers, or people retaliating because of the officers and killing people. My prayers go out to Philando's and Aton's family. I am so sorry for your loss. It's a shame that it takes something like this to get attention for the world to see. It's also sad to see that a lot of police officers are getting a bad rep. And people are saying, oh, well, you know, all officers aren't bad. It's a few bad apples. But we constantly see more bad apples than we see good ones. And the ones that are doing good and helping their community, again, we don't see. Why? Because it doesn't really make a story as this one does. So now, because of what the bad officers done, the good officers have to sit there and be twice as good to outrank the bad officers. But if you are an officer and you know that it's easier to help these bad officers so that your life could be more beneficial, then you are a bad officer yourself and you didn't have to pull the trigger. And this means if you're helping them cover up evidence, lying for them, you're just as guilty. And you need to repent hard for what you're doing. Again, my thoughts and prayers are with the families of these two individuals and also of the 4 Hispanic individuals that were killed in the hands of police that we're not really hearing about. The female that got killed by an officer that we're not really hearing about. You know, the rapes, the killings, the stabbings, the frauds. It's getting out of hand. And I know we're in a recession and people are doing anything means necessary. But remember what is necessary. Killing somebody just to save your ass is not necessary. So, I just wanted to get this rant going because it's been bothering me. For the simple fact is me being a African American female, part of the LGBT community, and not rich and have degrees and everything, to think that one day this could be me. Because people are too scared to know me and would rather kill me than know me. Please be careful. Please be smart. And this is Lily, and I'll talk to y'all later.